Well, excellent.
I'm
Well,
ready.
it's all right. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. So before we get into your work and your world, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing the world. How did you get through that era and how did it change the way that you live and work today?
Well, for me, I mean, I know it was hard for most people, but for me, it was a good change to like being connected with so many people all over the world, and it completely changed the way I work. I mean, I'm full remote now.
So let's get into the heart and soul of your work right now. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds in a school. It's career day, and one of the kids wants to know what you do for a living. How do you explain what you do for a living?
Well, I help their parents have fun at work, to be honest. I mean, really, I want people to feel well at work. So I work with managers that motivate and engage the employee, not motivate and engage, but help people feel well at work and produce meaningful results so that everyone is happy.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream job?
Well, at some point, I wanted to be a ballerina. I grew up in Moscow, Russia, and like ballet is a big thing, and I didn't want to be a ballerina, but I wasn't a small girl. I was kind of plump, big girl, but still I was jumping around.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what kinds of seeds were planted early on in your life that made you become a coach, that made you be around executives and be a team architect and help people find their destiny and a better work environment.
I never planned that, and it was like through various connections with different people who shared some of their personal stories and some of the learnings that they had. I said, "Oh wow, that's interesting. I want to try that." That's how I found out about NLP, and then that's how I found out about like what HR people do and what's learning and development and what's training, and then kind of moving from one mentor or one uh, inspiring person to another. That's how I got here.
So talk to me a little bit about your geographical migration. So you talked about Russia in the beginning.
Yeah.
When did you get to Israel? Kind of how have you traveled geographically?
Well, I'm originally from Russia. Most of my work, like corporate experience, was in Moscow. I worked for some international companies, so I had experience of working in the US. Worked with some Latin American countries, some European countries, and then about like 3.5 years ago, we moved with my family. We moved to Israel. Um, so yeah, and now I'm happy to work remotely with all like the world and like many countries. Japan,
So
Australia, US, everything.
wow. So prior to becoming a coach, what was one of your favorite job experiences that made you feel like you wanted to help people get to that place that you were at?
I was lucky. I mean, during my career, I was really lucky to work with some amazing companies like Deloitte, which was great. They had great culture. They had great learning experience for people, and I was there as a learning expert. And then I worked for some companies, some startups that really valued people and culture, and they was like talking about how important the culture is, and I saw how strong culture within those organizations actually helps those companies survive some multiple disruptions and be the best customer service provider like within this area within the whole Russia. So yeah, and that's how I learned how important culture is and how it's important to build those cultures.
So talk to me a little bit about a hero or an inspirational force that's allowed you to find your job right now, to find your role in the professional world. Who's been that for you?
The role.
Well, no, who's been an inspiration or a hero in your life that's
Oh,
allowed you to find your job, to find your place?
well, I can't name one person. Like as I mentioned, there were different people, and I like at some point there was like one of the friends in college, and then there was some one of the trainers that taught me NLP and taught me how to do trainings. And there was my manager, and then there was the CEO of the startup that I mentioned. So these are the people, and I learned from them. I can't name like one person.
So you've written books on AI, you've co-authored the AI revolution. Talk to me a little bit about, the thing about AI is that it's moving so fast. It's just blindingly fast. What is your take on AI in the workplace? Do you believe that it's going to automate things? What do you see AI doing in the workforce as we move forward?
Well, I mean, I love the topic and I love the question. Like AI is not technical change. It's not a technical transformation. Like we've been through digital transformation where there was a lot of tech, but there was also a lot of change management and resistance and fear. And like compared with AI, there was nothing. Like there's a lot of fear when it comes to AI. People are afraid that it will replace them. There is a lot of like it changes how teams work, how organizations work. It changes the workplace dynamics because not only like things are being automated, our thinking process sometimes is becoming automated, and we don't want that. We want to keep human judgment to ourselves, and sometimes at some point we kind of delegate too much, we offload too much to AI, and that at that point we lose connection to our work, we lose judgment, we lose engagement. And I work with teams who've been through that like process of losing motivation and engagement because they delegated too much to AI. So we need to be really mindful about how we integrate AI in our workplace because it is going to stay there and it's going to change how we work together. So like having those people in the loop and keeping human judgment to ourselves is a critical thing when it comes to AI transformation.
The other part of AI is that there's this fear that it could become a negative force on this planet. It could do really bad things. What's your take on that? I mean, and that's a common question. It's a common fear. We've seen it in Hollywood movies. It's just, we know how human beings work. But what's your beat on it? Do you think we'll continue to harness it as humans, or do you think there's a chance that it might supersede our expectations?
We have so many things that can destroy humanity, like honestly. And this is just another one. It's how we use it.
Yeah. Well, I heard someone say at one point, AI is going to be a reflection of humanity. And I think overwhelmingly humanity is good. There's a lot of good things that happen every day. And if it's a reflection of that, then hopefully we have hope for the future for it.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
I do have faith in humans and that AI and people can collaborate for better future.
So let me ask you this. If you could meet a coach or a business mind, sit down, have lunch, ask questions that might help you on your journey, anybody on the planet, who would you love to meet and talk to?
There are two people. I love like I'd love to have conversation with Marshall Goldsmith and Dory Clark.
What would you want to know? What would be some questions you would ask?
I think Marshall Goldsmith is a marketing genius. I mean, not so. I don't know him as a coach, but the way he works and he builds network is just amazing. And I'd love to learn how he builds those networks and like what are they. He shares it online a lot, but kind of having this access to like the source of this wisdom would be great. And Dory, she's I mean she's also a lot about networking and marketing and being out there for people and building relationship and building presence online.
So the one thing that you're doing as a coach is you're helping people have confidence in coaches and how that works. What was the first coach that you had that made you love this pursuit of being a coach?
So there was a transformational coaching training that I took, and I don't do transformational coaching. Like I'm more on the leadership coaching and behavior side, but that's where I experienced how we can broaden perspective. So how we can see not just what is in front of us, but like broader and broader and broader, and how that perspective actually helps us it helped me to see other ways of behaving, other ways of feeling, other ways, like there's so many other ways of doing things when you have this broader perspective. And that's when I thought, okay, that's interesting. I want to explore more. I want to find out more about that.
What's been one of the most memorable client experiences that you had? Maybe it was difficult. Maybe you thought the road was going to be really almost too much to bear, but it turned out and it worked out. Do you have a client success story like that?
But I do have a lot of very interesting client stories, and it's hard to pick one. I know one. And I like it because when we met, it was the like one of the senior executive in a tech. He was a tech executive in a like multinational company, and he didn't know what's next. And like one of the thoughts, okay, what's my next career step? And through some conversations and reflections and exploring, like having this broader perspective, we actually came to the idea that like he doesn't need to like find another job. What he really wants is helping people and sharing his expertise. And he established his own consulting company, and now he's running his consulting business with some of the folks that he like invited to on this journey with him. And I think that's great because, well, first of all, he found out what he loves doing best and started doing that, and he also invited people to come along.
So, what is it in the morning when that alarm clock goes off? What gives you the energy to do this job at a high level? And obviously, when you're coaching, you have to get into the head of your client, and there can be some messy stuff. How do you protect yourself, take care of your soul, and do your job at a high level every day?
There was one thing that helps me a lot. I practice Tai Chi. I started doing that like a few months ago. I mean, it's not even a year, but I feel how powerful it is in terms of feeling my body and feeling the tensions in my body and kind of feeling more centered and calm and clear my head. So it's not just like physical exercises, but it's a mindfulness practice for me, and I absolutely love it.
So, let me ask you this. Of everything that you've accomplished professionally on your timeline, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, my recent, like the most recent is my book.
Yes. To talk to me about your book. Give me an idea. How did the book idea come about? How good does it feel that it's out? Give me an overview of the book.
Well, my like I always wanted to write a book. I think I have a friend who wrote a book, I was thinking, okay, what should I write about? What should I write about? And then I thought, since I work with teams, I want to write about teams, and I want to write something for team leaders that will help them build amazing teams, even when I'm not around, when they don't have me. They can just read the book, do some stuff, have better teams and better culture. And I started to write this book, I think it was like 2020. I didn't finish it then. Then I started again in 2022. Didn't finish it. But then 2024, it looks like every every 2 years, I started writing that again. Like this, like last August, August 2025, it came out live, and now I have it, and it feels great.
So when you actually got the box full of the books for the first time, what was that feeling
Uh,
like when you saw it happen?
that I have. That first of all, I reached my goal, and I love making like ticking the box that here it is. That I have something that I can. I mean, it actually helps me to speak about what I do and to share my tools and knowledge. And so whenever someone asks me, okay, how do I do that? I say, okay, I have that in my book. It's like on page this, you can read about 5 levels of team trust. It's very clear. Go there, you'll find it there. Or like, how do I do a team charter? It's in my book. Here is the workshop scenario, how you do a team charter with your team. So it helped me structure my tools and frameworks so that I can share it with other people, whether it's a book or just like talking about that. So it feels good.
So when you think about the word retirement, what comes into your mind? We get mired in our careers and that word retirement looms out there. What do you think about when you hear that word retirement?
I think about writing more books.
Yeah. So let's say you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you walked into a room and you had like a movie projector and you played like a 60-second highlight clip of your life and said, that's how your life has turned out so far. Would that young version of you believe that your life has turned out the way it has?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. I had very high expectations of myself
Okay.
like all the time. So when I see like I was a chief people officer, I have a great family, I moved to another country, like I probably say, oh yeah, that's what I was. That's me.
Would you give that young version any advice?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep your contacts live. I mean, networking is not just like talking to people, meeting people, and then forgetting about them when you change a job. But whenever you change a job, whenever you meet interesting people, like keep those connections live. That's the biggest, I mean, the most important advice I would give myself.
So let's say you walked into a room of everybody that's known you throughout your career in a professional business sense, and you went to a podium and you had to tell them one fun story about your life. Maybe a wonderful place you traveled to, jumping out of an airplane, just a seminal experience that might humanize you a little bit to that room. What would be a fun story you would tell that group?
Well, since you mentioned jump out of the airplane, I have that exactly that story. I was traveling, I was hiking on the hills of Kamchatka volcanoes, and with a lot of volcanoes, we were like hiking up and down. And at some point, I was meditating at like one of the volcanoes, and the energy there feels, I mean, it feels really, really great. A lot of hills and mountains and nature, and it feels so powerful. So I did that one meditation, and then we went back. Next month, I jumped with a parachute. And the same month, I bought a car and started driving. I wasn't like, I had my driving license, but I didn't drive, and I was kind of afraid of that. But after that meditation, I did two the most crazy things I never thought I would do.
That's wonderful. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, all of your clients, everyone that gets your books, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm someone who wants to help people, but maybe not because of like them, but because it feels like it helps me feel uh, that I'm doing something meaningful. And having meaning in life is very important. And then the hardest part of like parts of my life is when I was losing meaning. What am I doing here? Why am I doing this? So I like having this meaning in my life. It gives me strength.
So I have to know, coming from Russia, being in Israel, those are two regions of the world that have historically had levels of strife and conflict and overcoming and just so many things. We're doing that in America right now, where there's a lot of things that are coming out of here. Do you wake up hopeful every day? Where's your level of
Yeah.
hope on this planet in 2026?
Oh, I do. I do wake up hopeful every day because otherwise I probably wouldn't be able to live in those places. Uh, but I do believe in the greatness of humans and that we can overcome a lot of things. I mean, we've gone so far. Like we've been like through um, very hard times as humanity, and now here we are with AI and healthcare and everything. And yeah, we're still humans. We make mistakes, but if we're kinder to each other, we'll make it.
So I have to know, as someone that's into AI, if you could get into a time machine and either go into the future 20 years from now and see what's going on, or go back in time and see one event that happened in human history, where would you go? What would you love to see?
Oh, I want to see the future, definitely.
Okay. How far into the future?
100 years.
Wow. So when I was a kid, I remember the Jetsons and I thought we were going to be flying cars. Thank God we're not. We're already dangerous enough on the ground. So do you think we're going to get to this automated point? What's your, I mean, like when you close your eyes and think 100 years from now, what's going to ultimately be the big differences? What do you think is going to be like, what do you think it's going to look like?
For me, it's space. Kind of
Okay,
is. Yeah.
getting off this
Space,
blue rock. Yeah,
yeah, space travel. Like, I don't know whether there'll be any connections with the other civilizations or not, but being out understanding more about the space, which will give us more understanding about ourselves.
that's wonderful. So if anybody wants to pick up a copy of your new book, if you want to hold it up, clicking. If anybody wants
Yeah.
to hire you, if anybody wants to reach out, any of the other wonderful work that you're doing, where do they go?
Well, there are two places. Go on LinkedIn and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very open to connections and messages in DMs. Ask me any questions you have. And obviously, go to my website, dariarudnik.com, where you have all the information about my book, my newsletter, and everything that I do.
Okay. I will put all these links in the show notes. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking a minute out today. It's a wonderful story. Have a wonderful new year.
Well, thank you, Joe. The questions are really interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's been wonderful.